So I want to talk about this. This is the MoFi Sound Lab double LP version of Black Beauty. Uh, Miles Davis at the Fillmore West. And we are talking, this is 1970, right after they had done all the sessions for the Jack Johnson album, which wouldn't get released till 71. But this is April 10th, 1970. The next night will show up on the Fillmore East box set, just as bonus tracks. So for this lineup, Miles is opening for the Grateful Dead for 3 nights, which greatly impacted him. We've got Steve Grossman on soprano sax. We've got Dave Holland on bass, Chick Corea on keys. Fuck yeah. Jack DeJohnette on drums, and of course Airto Moreira on percussions, who most of which would show up on the Song of Singing and the first 2 Return to Forever albums. So this double LP is 4 continuous suites. I mean, each side's at least 20 minutes, and then it fades in, it fades out. Go to the next part. If you have this on CD, you get it without the breaks and the fade-ins or the fade-outs. So they played one continuous long hour-plus performance for the most part. There might have been a gap here and there to stop for a second and then wind up to the next one. But this is how it's originally sequenced. You don't have any formal song titles when you get this. If you get the 97 Columbia Remaster Series, you get official track listings and track lengths. But here's the thing, they don't quite match up to what's there. So, again, this is when Miles switched to more rock-heavy venues because Clive Davis, rest in peace, had the brains and the eye for talent to go, yeah, you need to do this. Go over there, you'll make a lot more money. We'll make more money. And we'll go do it. So, for the most part, at this point, the set lists are Directions. Miles runs the Voodoo Down. Willie Nelson from Joe Zawinul. I Fall in Love Too Easy from Sammy Kahn. Sanctuary, which I'm pretty sure was another Joe Zawinul track from Bitches Brew. We get It's About That Time from... I'm drawing a blank right now. And of course, Bitches Brew, Mascalero, Spanish Key, and it ends on the theme. It always ends on the theme. But, this is parts 1, parts 2, parts 3, parts 4. Part 1 is almost 24 minutes. Part 2 is 18 minutes. Part 3 on the second LP is 17. And then part 4 is 21 and a half. So, it officially breaks down the CD reissue as Directions from Joe Zawinul, 1046. Miles runs the Voodoo Down, 1222. Directions, of course, would come out fully on the Get Up With It compilation. There's a 1 and 2 from 1974. And it also appears properly later on in 97 on this Complete Bitches Brew session. I have not listened to this box yet. And I haven't moved on from this because even though the Fillmore East is the next set and then Live Evil, not that I have the Cellar Door Sessions December 1970 box, which is going for like $300 right now. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. I know it. But I haven't listened to the Supernova that is the Fillmore East. Getting there soon. I want to play that box set for Bitches Brew before I move on any further. Willie Nelson, 6 minutes, 23 seconds. I Fall in Love Too Easily, only a minute and a half. Sanctuary, which is mostly driven by Wayne Shorter when he was in the group. It goes into It's About That Time. Bitches, It's About That Time. Isn't that in a silent way? In a silent way. There it is. Boom. Okay, took me a second. Bitches Brew officially 12:53. Mescalero, another Wayne Shorter led track 9:07, and then Smash Key into the usual closing, the theme 12:14. Here's the thing. This does not follow the CD track listing. If you pay close attention, even though you've got what they did for the CD was they went off the set list, but if you pay close attention, more often than not, Chick Corea is the reset point throughout this set. He starts playing something either short cutting or stabbing on the keys. Miles chimes in with a couple of notes just to say, hey, we're going here right now. I could easily point out during the Willie Nelson to I Fall in Love Too Easily part, that is not totally Willie Nelson I Fall in Love Too Easily. What they're doing is, if you go to Big Fun, there's a track, 1972. The second song is way out of place on that, and it's called Ife, or Ife. And it's from the On the Corner sessions in 72. But everything on that album is from that compilation is from 69 to early 70, ending at just the point the Jack Johnson albums start, except for Ife. But they go into this dirge heavy keyboard Chick and Jack DeJohnette section where it's just keys and drums and Airto coming in and adding his percussions because the man's incredible. But it's so heavy on the rhythm and the keys that you think you're listening to On the Corner. So you go to side 2, Suite 2. Again, this is the Willie Nelson I Fall in Love Too Easy and bits and pieces of Sanctuary. Even though it says on the CD track listing going off the set list, we played Sanctuary here. No, they're diving into a style that Miles would just reserve for himself 2 years ahead of time. And even then, they're tinkering about bringing in bits of Bitches Brew early while they do it. But side 2 on record 1, it's just so... It's so funeral dirge driven that it gives you the On the Corner vibes. You can't help but notice it. And then it goes into Sanctuary, and it's About That Time. But even then, it's About That Time from In a Silent Way. You think it came off of Bitches Brew because they're doing other little bits and pieces of it. It's like if you go into it really, you've got directions, yes, but there's fragments of other things going on. Like even they dip into when it's dark and creeping. It's almost like The Mask from Joe Zawinul. Before they go into a little bit of Sanctuary, and then they start hinting at Spanish Key with the guitars cutting in and out. We go to side 2, and on side 2 we go back into Miles Runs the Voodoo Down, even though they've already technically covered it. But the way the band is locked in, they keep returning to the older themes from the first set, and they play it again. DeJohnette and Holland just locked in. It's ultra hypnotic. You go into, and on side 2 was Ife, but if you pay attention closely on side 3, when they go into Sanctuary and it's About That Time, they lock into not so much It's About That Time or Sanctuary, but when you go to Big Fun, Uh, there's another track on there about 9 minutes long. And, oh, and it's here also. It called Yafe. So if you spend enough time listening to Big Fun and the complete sessions for Bitches Brew, you'll pick up on Yafe and Great Expectations, songs that they played 4 or 5 months earlier, but people weren't paying attention. Well, actually, people didn't even know because these songs wouldn't come out for about 4 years later from when they were recorded. But you got Yeah Frey and Great Expectations in the middle of the side two, record two, side A, or part three churn going on. And it's just exciting. I haven't even gotten to the Film Maurice shows, and those are the supernovas. But what's going on here is they are so locked in. They set the standard for King Crimson for Live Yes, with all the improvs and random things happening. And again, it's not Chick Corea on Fender Rhodes is the reset point for a lot of it. So in between Sanctuary and it's about that time when they go back into those, there's Korea playing bits and pieces. It's almost crystalline. That brings you into some of the session tracks they had done, but you don't know that unless you've spent the time. And so the markers, what you get on the CD, the 97 reissues, they're not entirely accurate. They're close. They're real close. But there's 4 or 5 other things going on in between each solitary track. And, this is when Miles starts using the set list as just little modules. So we'll keep playing, but I want to dip into this track here. Maybe we could use this little inflection there. And it's, the story, you can call it 13 tracks if you want, but when it's 4, you got to pay attention. The MoFi edition, which mine is numbered, number 795. What is that, a 5,000, I think? Until they decide to reissue in 5 years and make it unnumbered, whatever. It goes in. You don't realize the brilliance unless you sit with the albums. And what I love on side 4 especially is when Chick is resetting again, and this is where they call it Mescalero, and I can believe it. Why? Because it's got the Latin American influences, the Spanish influences, which of course Chick Corea spent 1972 to his death bringing in Spanish and Latino schemes and movements into all of his album releases. But you go into it and you get this 3-minute mark where Chick is just putting on this beautiful, clear organ and key solo. And as he's going through it, winding everyone down and then bring them back up, Miles cuts in suddenly, all of a sudden. Then you transition to Dave, Jack, and Aarto just locking in on this pulsing groove. It's, like I said, dirge. It's swampy. You going, what? Sorry for knocking on my table, but what the hell is this? And they lock into Spanish key for the last 8 to 10 minutes, and it's just this dirge version of Spanish key to hold you until the end, which is, of course, the theme. It's always the theme. But if you've never heard the studio albums, you put on this without experiencing Bitches Brew and the stuff of a big fun, let alone the complete studio sessions. If you go into this cold, this is gonna make no sense to you. It's gonna be in your face, and you're gonna be wondering, what the hell? Why are they doing that? Why'd they go there? And thank God I'm a Dead fan, because I get the whole segue into the next thing is making a suite or a total medley for 4 songs. That's exactly what he's doing, because this is night 2, I think, of 3, because the 11th was the third night. And Miles is just immediately responding to what he's seen and heard from the Dead sets. And he's saying, okay, we can be experiments like that and keep going nonstop. We'll make it up as we fucking go. This is where the chaos starts. You could say the Bitches Brew the album proper. True. But this first live album, after both Bitches Brew's been recorded, the other unreleased tracks, Great Expectations, Jaffe, Green Lady, and then both Jack Johnson songs. This is like days after the Jack Johnson sessions have ended. That album wouldn't come out for another year. But all that's on his mind and the group's mind. And it makes a total difference in the presentation. So that's all I'm going to say about that right now. I'm looking forward to going through all 5 discs of this. I got it cheap because of the little tear here, which I'll get some Elmer's glue or bookkeeper's glue and seal up, and then be able to say it's VG plus, or at least my family would say it's VG plus. I only spent with shipping $30. I probably should have spent $40. I'll take it. Wait till you see what the Cellar Door Sessions 1970 and the In a Silent Way box is going for. Oh God! And on the corner with the metal box is going for like $300 right now. I'm glad they reissued the Plug Nickel set. I'm gonna have to pick that up, obviously, from 65. But God damn, put these back out. They're doing the whole Prestige single year record releases right now, and I could get for $50. I can get the old CD box for 8 CDs for $50 instead of $60 a pop for every single year from 53 to 57, whatever. It at some point it becomes bullshit. But yeah, play some Miles Davis. I've got another video coming up on some other T albums in my record collection that I've been going through. I gotta play 2 original Robin Trower albums coming up. He master guitarist from Procol Harum before he was the amazing wunderkind of guitar and writing on his own with the blues and prog heavy catalog. But at some point there's going to be a Procol Harum album ranking. I don't know if I'll go through all of them. It's like the last 2 Steely Dan albums, I haven't really listened to them, and there's 3 after the fact of the classic 66 to 77 period. But I feel like there's a Procol Harum video waiting to happen. And also, this is shirt number 5 of 6, Judas Priest on the Invisible Shield tour. I got 2 from this tour. The only tour shirt I'm missing from the 6 times I've seen Priest is from Redeemer of Souls. 2014, I could find it. 2015, I could find it. I just don't care to. But there's going to be an album ranking video coming up real soon for them, too. Is it going to be a top 10 or top 20? Of course there is. And there's also On the back burner is a ranking the albums of Savatage. Most of you know them as Trans Siberian Orchestra, TSO, but it's the mighty Savatage, and they bring in hundreds of thousands, maybe a few million a year. Even under the other name, it is what it is. So check in real soon. Thanks for watching.